I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Dude, are you okay?
I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this and I will take that ride home.
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. My name is Chris Graham. It is a pleasure to have you hanging out with us tonight as we get ready for the ESRA INDYCAR Series to kick off our Thursday night doubleheader. Really looking forward to this one here. Is one of the best ovals on the schedule will play host, the real-world schedule will play host to these guys here tonight. Wide Technology Raceway located in Madison, Illinois. Your practice, just about wrapping up here. So let's take a look at these. I'll get you some of the information here and tell you a little bit about this place. Originally opened in 1967, it was a combination road course and drag strip that they then put the oval in. Turns 1 and 2 banked at 11 degrees. Turns 3 and 4 banked at 9 degrees. It's also egg-shaped, just like the Darlington Raceway down there in South Carolina. Definitely makes for some interesting racing. And quite frankly, we've seen some pretty crazy things already here in the practice session tonight. As we mentioned, this is round number 8 of the championship. The race distance is not huge. The race distance is 130 laps. Cautions are going to be controlled by iRacing. Single file restarts, and they will have one attempt at an overtime finish if necessary. Matt Wagner entering the night as your points leader, taking over from Connor Baldwin after last week's race, I guess 2 weeks ago's race. However, look at how tight this championship battle is with just a handful of rounds to go. Baldwin only 10 points back. James Watson still very much in contention, only 22 back of your points leader. And where things are going to get very, very interesting tonight is in the strategy game. Maybe 3 stops will be required. There's an 80% fuel limit on the cars, which means they're going to get to, we'll say, 35 to 45 laps is what the window looks like. They're going to have 4 sets of tires in the box. Very unlikely that they will use all 4 of those, but depending on how the cautions come out, we may see that happen. And the drivers do have 1 backup car at their disposal. 15 cars on the entry list here tonight, and they are getting out onto the racetrack for qualifications. Let's take a look here. Get you the side-by-side up. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have Ty Richter. Brandonish Canyon going to be on the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see the lap times as they start to pop up here in qualifying. These are going to be the first 2 guys to get laps in the books here. Only 5 minutes on the board to get the qualification session in. You will have 2 laps with which to set 1 singular best lap time. First lap in the books going to be Brandonish Canyon at a 25.275. Jason Hand quickly up to 2nd. Ty Richter falling back to 3rd after the completion of his lap. Cullen Johnston, nice lap there on lap number 1. How about Gary Corley up to a 25.440? He's going to move himself up to the second position, dropping Cullen Johnston back to third. Hand and Richter back to the fourth and fifth positions. New quick time, top of the board. Ty Richter, 25.245 seconds. Right-hand side of the screen will pick up Connor Baldwin. Left-hand side of the screen, the 89 of Nick DeGroot. Both of these guys are absolute rocket ships. Oh, Gary Corley, 25 flat, 25.061. That's one of the fastest laps we've seen run all night, including the practice session. Gary Corley putting up a heater on lap number 2. Connor Baldwin, lap number 1, 25.546. Not quite where he wanted to be. Nick DeGroot up to third quick, 25.218. Alec Coates. Oh, monster laps. Connor Baldwin, 24.972 to take the top position. Nick DeGroot, man, he's got to be frustrated. Goes 24.986, and it's not good enough to put him on the pole. He's going to be 1/100th of a second back, and Alec Coates goes to the top spot at a 24.8. 24.802 seconds. Oh my goodness, 24.80 with a 2 for Alec Coates. That was a monster lap. James Watson out on the racetrack. He is on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side, we have defending series champion and new points leader Matt Wagner. Watson off of turn number 4. He will trip the timing lights for his second lap around the racetrack. Third quick, 24.98, 24.986 seconds. Lap number 1 in the books for Matt Wagner, 25.092. Man, this could be shaping up to be a big lap for Matt Wagner. Follow him through turns 3 and 4. Slides a little bit high on the corner exit. Trips the timing line on lap number 2. Second quick, 24.834, 24.834 seconds. Wow. These are some absolutely incredible laps. And we still have 5 cars that haven't taken time yet. TJ McMurray, Andrew ESRA, Joseph Morales, Richard Fletcher, and AJ Digby do have a couple of penalties. Cullen Johnston will be picking up an EOL tonight. And actually, there were a handful of incidents after the race at Kentucky. The biggest one that, quite frankly, has caused some consternation still amongst the drivers, Matt Wagner and Ty Richter not seeing eye to eye on the incident at lap number 17. Being ruled a no call by the league admins. Quite frankly, I think it's not the worst call to have made looking at going back on what this situation was. So no penalty there. Cullen Johnston picking up the EOL for the incident at lap number 36. Just spun it on the pit access lane coming in. And with that, qualifications are already over. We are done and ready to go racing. Oh man, this one is going to be fun. If this is any indication of what we saw in the qualifying laps, this has the potential for some wild racing here tonight. Take a look at the cars gridding up on the front straightaway, and we will get you your starting lineup. 24.802 seconds, the lap time of record for tonight's pole speed by the number 10 of Alec Coates. 31 thousandths of a second back will be Matt Wagner. Just a couple of absolutely monster laps there. Connor Baldwin and James Watson going to line up on row number 2. Top 3 in points going to line up 2, 3, 4 in order here for this race tonight. To quote Rick Allen, major playoff implications, championship implications. Nick DeGroot, Gary Corley will occupy the 3rd row for this one. Cullen Johnston and Ty Richter on row number 4. They're still not a half second back of your leaders. Row number 5 will have Brandon Ishkanyan and Jason Hand. Row 6, the first of the cars that did not take time in qualifications here tonight, Joseph Morales and AJ Digby. TJ McMurray, Richard Fletcher on row number 7. And looks like scheduled to start all alone on row number 8 is Andrew ESRA, but he did not make the grid. So looks like it will be a 14-car starting grid here for this one tonight. Oh, man, this is going to be good. Pit strategy is going to come into play tonight. Tire wear is very much going to be a factor throughout this race this evening. Pit entry is not easy here at Gateway. Really have to master that one because you cannot enter off at turn number 4. You have to do it at the end of the backstretch, and it is very, very easy to get the car looped around. Field's coming off at turn number 4. Green flag's going to go in the air, and as always, race fans, the start of the ESRA INDYCAR Series is going to be all yours. How about a pace lap at 185 miles an hour? Matt Wagner and Alec Coates were side by side the entirety of lap number 1. Big move, Connor Baldwin. Oh, and Baldwin spun around. He's in the wall. Connor Baldwin spins the race car, and he's going to collect. James Watson is collected in it, as is Gary Corley. 3 very, very fast race cars. Early drama here at Gateway. Baldwin lost it all by himself going into turn number 1. Get you the Hot Shoot Raceway instant replay here. Take a look at it. Baldwin all by himself. Car just snaps loose on cold tires, slides up into the wall. Looks like Watson may have actually been involved as a separate incident as the yellow flag came out. Take a look here. Oh, Watson tried to come down the racetrack, collects. Oh, man, there were a bunch of cars involved in this one. We didn't see that one initially. Oh, my goodness. Gary Corley going to be involved. Joseph Morales, Cullen Johnston, Gary Corley, all on the pit lane. Connor Baldwin, James Watson, Ty Richter, Brandon Ishkanyan, and now Corley have come out onto the racetrack. But, well, here's Watson and Baldwin trying to make their way down pit lane still. They will be able to limp their beat-up race cars around, but the key is they didn't have to take the tow. Something that may have contributed to that a little bit are the weather conditions. Let's take a look at those presented by our friends at the Weather Center. Keep your eye out for the Weather Cares Charity Softball Classic coming up this weekend. Check out their Facebook page and YouTube channel at the Weather Center for more information on those. 75-degree ambient temperature, 36% humidity. Winds are going to be calm under very, very clear skies. 78-degree the track temperature. A little on the low side, but not necessarily something that would have really had a massive effect on the drivers. So again, almost 2 separate incidents. James Watson trying to clear the incident that Connor Baldwin had. And we'll show it to you again on the replay. Maybe take a little bit different look at it here. His lights are out on the iRacing safety car, but You'll see Baldwin go around. Watson following him through to the high side. Gary Corley getting a great run up the inside. Almost looked like netcode initially. The cars ended up hooked together, and I don't know that you could necessarily call that one on either one of them. Definitely wasn't Gary Corley's fault, but I don't know that you can pin everything on Watson there either. Trying to get down to the inside of the racetrack to avoid the incident. And then there was just nowhere for everybody else to go. So everybody is back on the racetrack right now and on the lead lap, it looks like. That's at least what our timing and scoring data is showing to us. So in some respects, a little bit of a no harm, no foul incident, other than the fact that they had to use their backup car very, very early in the race. Green flag goes back in the air here at lap number 5, and Matt Wagner will be your race leader down the front straightaway. He is going to open up a huge gap on Alec Coates. Coates going to have Nick DeGroot calling a car length or so back as they exit turn number 2. Second battle, we'll pull it up here on the little screen, will be TJ McMurray, Richard Fletcher, Jason Hand, Brandon Ishkanyan. Then we get to James Watson, but the big move down to the inside by Nick DeGroot. He wants to get around Alec Coates, sets the fastest lap of the race, grabs position number 2 by turn 1. Coates going to have the big draft down the back straightaway. These guys got to be careful. They could lose Matt Wagner very, very quickly here. We've talked about it in the past. It seems like Matt Wagner always has one race night where it just starts to feel like everything's clicking, and that's where the championship really started to play into his hands. That race could be tonight. Already out to a 1.3 second lead. However, we did not see many very long runs in practice either. These cars were very difficult to handle. They are fairly low downforce, from what we understand anyway. Swap the boxes up on you here, up on the right hand or left hand side of the screen. Richard Fletcher, Brandon Ishkanyan, James Watson. Watson having to peek down to the inside of Fletcher. He'll get the move done off of turn number 4. Slots up right back in line. Everything's clear. He's going to go to work on TJ McMurray. Come back here to this battle for third as we have an incident on the racetrack for Gary Corley, but we will stay under the green flag. Take a look at the Hot Shoe Raceway instant replay here. See what happened to Gary Corley. Oh, he just brought the car to a stop down the back straightaway. Corley heads back to the pit lane. Things separating out a little bit here at the front. We'll go back to the side-by-side looks here. Get the boxes squared away right. Left-hand side of the screen has Ishkanyan, Watson, and Baldwin. Right-hand side of the screen, looking a little bit further back in the pack, Richard Fletcher, Ty Richter, Jason Hand, and Joseph Morales. Right on the right-hand side of your screen is back there for the 10th position. It looks like Gary Corley will be out of this race. Tough break there for Gary. Now, I don't think the drivers have saved enough fuel to make this a two-stop race just yet, but they're probably not that far off from it either. The number we were hearing was anywhere from 38 to maybe 45 laps is what they could get on a tank of fuel. If you got out to 45, that gets you to, 135 laps. So it would get you the green-white checkered attempt as well. but 45 was really going to be a stretch to try to make that work. Take you back to the full screen here. James Watson having to look inside of Brandon Ishkanyan. Things definitely starting to settle in here a little bit. As is typical for Gateway, you kind of have some early excitement. The race settles in. They get a lot of laps run. A lot of the strategy game starts to come into play. And then it feels like all hell breaks loose towards the end of the race as well. Take a look. Let's go on board here and side by side with James Watson. There you see Brandon Ishkanyan out in the front. Connor Baldwin a little bit further out the back. Watson has the peek down to the inside of Ishkanyan, and he'll get the job done here at the start-finish line. Not quite clear as they get to turn number 1. Now we'll get the move done. Oh, man, but Ishkanyan right there. Had to back out of it just a little bit. That's going to bring Connor Baldwin into the fray. In fact, Baldwin going to get the move to the inside of Ishkanyan into 3. Baldwin really has to back out of it. Oh, man, but Ishkanyan does too. Baldwin at the midpoint of the corner. Ishkanyan on the exit. Connor Baldwin clears Brandon Ishkanyan. He'll get the pass completed for the 7th position. Now he's going to go after James Watson, but Watson has his sights set on TJ McMurray. Riding on board here with TJ McMurray off the turn number 4. You see Watson getting ever so slightly closer. Things tightening up a little bit at the front of the field, but not a ton here as Matt Wagner still leading over Nick DeGroot, Alec Coates, and AJ Digby. See, once again, Watson has the look to the inside of McMurray into turns 1 and 2. Not going to be able to get the run off the corner. You hear the shift. Going back to the point on trying to make this a 2-stop race, that was a quickie yellow we saw the first time around, which is interesting because if they're going to be able to get the quickie yellows called, that reduces the number of laps you're going to run under caution and the amount of fuel you can save in map 8. Drivers have 8 fuel maps with which to work. 1 through 5 are standard fuel mixture percentages, so air versus fuel in the mix. As Watson has the look to the inside. We'll draw alongside. Watson draws alongside by side, but can't quite get the pass made, though. I think it's going to happen this time, though, and Connor Baldwin's going to be right there as well. Ooh, man, they almost touched coming off the turn number 2, but Watson gets the pass complete. So the first 5 fuel maps are different percentages of fuel. 6 and 7 are actually different throttle shapes, which are utilized mainly on road courses, depending on how much torque you're looking to get out of the engine. The final map, map number 8, is used under caution, and it is as lean as you can possibly make the engine, as we see Connor Baldwin going by TJ McMurray. So Watson and Baldwin continuing their charge through to the field. Let's take a look here and say hello to Allie Foreman. First-time commenter here on YouTube. Hello, Miss Allie. Get the comments in. We can see them. We can get them up on the air. Thank you to everybody tuned in on YouTube and on Twitch. Taking a look at some of the lap averages that we have access to in timing and scoring. Nick DeGroot is about 7/100ths of a second faster than Matt Wagner over the last 5 laps. Alec Coates, AJ Digby, both about a 10th off of what the lead 2 are running. And in fact, the lead 2 is turning into quite the battle here. It is now down to 0.3 of a second for Matt Wagner versus Nick DeGroot. DeGroot will not be a contender for the championship here. Doesn't run every week. Kind of runs about as much as he can with the real-world races schedule that Nick has being a little bit chaotic. Nick, a writer for motorsport.com. So he comes out here and hangs out with the iRacing guys when he's not doing the real-world stuff. Bringing up the side-by-side here as we have one car coming down pit lane. We'll see who that one is in just a moment. That is the 00 of Jason Hand making his way onto the pit lane. So following both battles here, and quite frankly, they've opened up a significant amount. Let's pick up Joseph Morales and Brandon Ishkanyan as they're going to battle side by side into turn number 1. Morales backing off just a little bit there on the corner entry, trying to get the move made with a little bit more corner exit speed. He's going to tuck right back up under that rear diffuser of the 19. Morales again having to peek to the inside. Not going to be able to get the job done here. Off at turn number 4, slide a little bit forward in the field. These guys are coming up on the lap traffic. Now that pass is going to get completed. We'll slide over, pick up Colin Johnston, trying to chase down Ty Richter. This is the fight for the 8th position as we work lap number 37. The gap for the lead that was down to 3 or 4/10 of a second, now back up to almost 8/10 for Matt Wagner over Nick DeGroot. Now we're starting to get close to that first cycle of pit stops. Let's pick up race leader Matt Wagner. Just set the fastest lap of the race, 25.114 seconds to a 25.386 for Nick DeGroot, a full 0.2, almost 0.3 faster. Man, Matt Wagner does it again. 25.288 to a 25.429. Has the gap opened up over 1 second now. As we work lap number 39, just over 91 laps to go here. It'll be 91 as your race leader crosses the start-finish line. Oh, here we go. First taker down pit lane will be Nick DeGroot. At the eternally slow pit road speed limit here at Gateway, I believe 45 miles an hour. Here comes Matt Wagner onto the pit lane this time. He's going to try to cover the stop by DeGroot. Getting onto pit lane is difficult, and then you got to get the car woed up in a very short stretch. There is no pit road speed limit until you're actually on the pit lane itself. As we see Nick DeGroot heading out, James Watson heading in. Actually, we'll go back and follow Nick DeGroot here. See where Matt Wagner is going to come out in relation to Nick DeGroot. Both drivers 8.2 seconds for the time of the stop. For Fresh Firestone, Firehawks full tank of fuel, and how about it? They will be on the same straightaway as one another. Alec Coates now on the pit lane. He is stopping out of the third position. Going to make AJ Digby your race leader. See where Coates comes out in relation to Wagner and DeGroot, and it will not be all that close. Now Connor Baldwin on the pit lane, as is TJ McMurray. Richard Fletcher also going to be coming down the pit lane this time. The difference here is the laps that these drivers have run. A 40-lap stint for Nick DeGroot, a 41-lap stint for Matt Wagner. AJ Digby looking like he can make this a full 45 laps. That makes it a two-stop race here for AJ Digby, Cullen Johnston as well. And just as we call it out, AJ Digby going to make his way down the pit lane at lap number 45. So now we have two very different strategies that are in play here. One set of drivers electing to make it a two-stop race. The others, with a caveat here, are going to have to make it a three-stopper. However, if Wagner and DeGroot both go 45 laps on this second stint, then they make it to exactly lap number 130 with no margin for error in terms of the possible use of an overtime here. So AJ Digby just coming back out onto the racetrack. He will re-enter the racing surface in the sixth position. Joseph Morales making his way down the pit lane. Still waiting on Cullen Johnston. What really makes this stint interesting for Cullen Johnston is he's going to have to stop one more time, but it could theoretically be a short stint, a short pit stop. So not only are you going to take less time. Ooh, wow, Matt Wagner almost getting up into some of the lap traffic. Say not only, there we go, now here's Cullen coming down the pit lane this time. He is in his box. We're saying not only is Cullen Johnston going to be able to make it on one last pit stop, but it even could be less time in the box if he elects to do it won't be a splash and dash, but best battle on the racetrack right now. Actually, let's pick it up for you here on the big screen. James Watson and Connor Baldwin fighting for the 5th position. Go on board with James Watson here in the side-by-side. Baldwin going to try to make that outside lane work, but he way overcooked the entry. Has to back it down. Oh, and the caution flag is out. Trouble on the racetrack. Oh, and it's Cullen Johnston. Trouble on the racetrack for one of the guys who could have made this very, very interesting late. Oh, the car just started to snap a little bit loose. Got it down to the inside, slides back up the racetrack. Oh, man, right in front of the race leaders. Wow. And a huge hit from Brandonish Canyon. Good Lord. Take a look at the replay on this one. On board with Brandonish Canyon. Basically, almost out of nowhere. You could see Ish Canyon was fighting a little bit of a loose race car on corner entry. And unfortunately, Cullen Johnston is going to have to take the tow as well. Looks like, hold up here. Oh, strategy games at play. Nick DeGroot, Alec Coates coming down pit lane. So now you'll have Alec Coates, Nick DeGroot, and Joseph Morales. This is an interesting strategy call here. 76.8 laps to go for the race leader. You're still going to have to make one more stop. However, it will be a shorter stop than what Wagner, Digby, Watson, Baldwin, they're all going to have to make another full pit stop. Could we see just a splash and dash from Nick DeGroot late in this race? That one will be very, very interesting to watch play out. Take a look here and see if we can't get a quick word in with Cullen Johnston here. And Cullen, tough break for you out there. I was so looking forward to the strategy game that you were playing because you were going to be able to do this in one fewer stop and potentially a shorter stop than everybody else. And then it all kind of went haywire there in turn one. What happened?
Yeah, just cold tires, and when I got to the brakes and kind of started the turn and downshift, it just got around on me, and I tried to save it from coming back up on the track in front of those guys, but I didn't quite get it kept down there.
Yeah, you got the brake held, which is the lesson that everybody gets taught in iRacing, and unfortunately, Brandon not having much time to react to you there. Do you have the backup car available still, or is the night going to be over for you?
Yep, I had the backup car available, and I did have the tow, so that's going to hurt on the laps there, but we'll see what we can do here the rest of the night.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck the rest of the way here. We'll get you back down to the Mediocre Motorsports channel. And, man, tough break for Cullen Johnston. That car was fast looking. You can see the lights really starting to come into play now. This race started at sunset, very quickly progressing into the dark. There'll be 75 laps to go this time by the start-finish line. Joseph Morales coming back down. I think it's, quite frankly, the right call to make. If you're going to be starting at the back anyway, back of the lead lap cars, you might as well keep the tank topped off. Nick DeGroot, Alec Coates are going to restart, as is TJ McMurray, who also made a pit stop. They are only going to restart 6th, 7th, and 8th with some of the attrition that we've had tonight. You're really not losing much by electing to come in. And if everybody else elects to come in under a subsequent caution, now you're talking about potentially getting an even bigger benefit out of that as well. No real change to the weather conditions, still 75 degrees with a track temperature of 78, so cold tires will be an issue here as this race progresses. As the field comes back around to see the green flag, we'll give you all at home a chance to crank it up. Already with a very quick lap in the books here for Matt Wagner. Best battle on the racetrack going to be Connor Baldwin and Ty Richter. Richter doing a nice job holding on to the rear wing of the 21. Pretty good recovery drive thus far for Connor Baldwin after the lap one spin and, quite frankly, junking the race car of being able to take the backup car out. Just ahead of Baldwin is James Watson. Just behind is Nick DeGroot. A.J. Digby just setting a new fastest lap in the race at 25.057. Matt Wagner almost as quick, 25.062 the last time by. Going on board with Connor Baldwin as he has Ty Richter chasing him down and looking out the front, closing in on James Watson. Look a little bit further back here. Nick DeGroot able to get around Ty Richter there through turns 3 and 4. That's going to put Nick DeGroot up to position number 5, and he is going to very quickly catch James Watson and Connor Baldwin, who are getting ever so slightly closer, not quite battling for position yet, but once they start to duke it out, that's really going to open up the window here for Nick DeGroot to climb on through. Move himself up into a podium position. Watson also involved in that lap 1 incident. Again, very nice recovery drive here for James Watson, putting him back up to position number 3. About 1.6 seconds back of A.J. Digby, who is about 1.1 seconds back of race leader Matt Wagner. Halfway point, cross flags are up. 66 laps in the books, 65 to go. 65 complete, 65 to go. This time by here at Gateway. Coming up next at 10:15 in the East, it will be the IndyCar 2000 Championship. It's Oval Week, the first of the season for the Indy Pro 2000 cars, and this one's going to be fun. They are heading off to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Not quite draft lock, but if you like the racing that we see at Gateway and at Phoenix in those cars, you are going to absolutely love the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Don't miss that one coming up here at 10:15 in the East. Tomorrow night, we are scheduled to be up at Snydersville Raceway. Oh, buddy, James Watson, huge moment off of turn number 4. That's going to allow Baldwin by on the inside and Nick DeGroot to catch right back up. Get to what's coming up tomorrow here in just a little bit. We've got hot and heavy action on the racetrack right now. Watson in the middle of a dogfight here. DeGroot having to look to the outside, and he will get the pass completed down the front straightaway. Wonder if the handling not starting to go away here. Just a little bit on the car of James Watson as he is 28 laps into the stint. Working lap number 69 on an oh-so-nice night here at Wide Technology Raceway. Watson will not going quietly into that good night, holding on about 0.4 of a second back of Nick DeGroot. As he gains on DeGroot, DeGroot is gaining on Connor Baldwin. It looks like now that this battle has settled down slightly, and quite frankly, this is the best one on the racetrack. Everybody else sitting three-quarters of a second or more apart from each other on the racetrack. We'll tell you about what's coming up this weekend on the National Racing Network and some of our affiliated channels. Tomorrow, real-world kart racing from the Snydersville Raceway in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. The $3,000 to win John LaRue Memorial. I believe that is for the Flathead Animal Champ Division. There's about 69,000 different classes that they run in these karts. It's taking me a lot to learn all of them. You will get to learn about them as well, but the racing at Snydersville is awesome. Banked 1/8 mile oval dirt track in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. We'll get the post up on that one here. Actually, look for it to come up around noon-ish tomorrow, right about as we're getting ready to head out the door. We'll get the official post time up for that one. Coming up on Saturday, it is the DeWeather Cares Charity Softball Classic, airing on the DeWeather Center YouTube channel with some live look-ins throughout the day on their Facebook page. It is slow-pitch softball like you've never seen it before. It's interesting. We'll say it that way. That's the gist of it. irreverent, not necessarily fun for the whole family, but at least for the adults in the room. You'll definitely enjoy the show. So check that one out on Saturday over on the DeWeather Center YouTube channel. Nick DeGroot making up some ground here on Connor Baldwin. And actually, Ty Richter catching up on James Watson here as well. Let's bring you up to side-by-side. These are the two best fights that we have out here on the racetrack right now. We'll be down to 53 laps to go this time by. Anticipating the second round of pit stops coming up here fairly shortly. Race leader Matt Wagner, lap number 36 of this stint. AJ Digby on lap number 32, but they were both hitting under the same cycle of stops. Connor Baldwin 34 laps in. The big question mark is Nick DeGroot. He is only 25 laps in. He's got another 15 or so laps before he has to make his stop, as we see Ty Richter making the big move on James Watson. Has to back out of it through turns 1 and 2, but Watson definitely knows he's there now. Alec Coates getting into that party as well. Bring you that one up here on the full screen. Man, Coates really pushing that car hard. Both Richter and Coates, for that matter. Richter sliding way high off at turn number 2. May have cooked those tires just a little bit as Watson begins to get away. And Alec Coates able to catch up. Go back to the side-by-side here is Nick DeGroot still going to work on Connor Baldwin. Really, at this point, DeGroot doesn't necessarily have to work that hard because he's at least got to be thinking a little bit anyway that there's a little bit of a time advantage because of the less time he'll have to spend on pit road. However, that's entirely dependent on not getting a caution flag before the leaders have to come in for their pit stops. Oh, and here he comes, Matt Wagner on cue. Down onto the pit lane. Oh, big lock up there for Matt Wagner. Did he get the car slowed down enough? We'll go side by side here as Nick DeGroot going to have the look on Connor Baldwin into turn 3. Baldwin able to chop the nose off just a little bit as Wagner hits the marks. Car up and down, and he is away. He got it woed up. No pit road speeding penalty. Matt Wagner back out onto the racetrack. Question now becomes, when does AJ Digby come in? That is going to be as much of a question here because Digby, remember, is on that kind of alternate strategy as we see Connor Baldwin coming down pit road this time. The race leader on the right-hand side of your screen, he could have as many as 5 more laps before he has to come in, which would put him plenty to the good on fuel. Man, the strategy games are going to be really, really interesting here. Last thing Matt Wagner needs right now is a caution flag. He's led 75 laps tonight, but is 1 lap down as part of the pit cycle. Cullen Johnston also on pit lane. He's been in for an extended period. So Baldwin back out on the racetrack. Ty Richter making his way down the pit lane. Let's pick up the stop here for the 33. We'll see when your race leader is going to come down pit road. I think we're still another 3 laps or so from seeing him on the pit lane. And here he comes this time. Race leader AJ Digby going to be coming down pit lane. That's going to make the new leader of the race, Nick DeGroot. Still waiting on Alec Coates, TJ McMurray, and Joseph Morales to make their final stops as well. And we say final stops, final required stops. If we get a late race caution, tires could be a big, big thing here. Digby making his way back out onto the racetrack, and it will be in the 5th position. There's Matt Wagner coming past on the outside, but the gap is significantly shorter than what we saw before. TJ McMurray, Joseph Morales, they're going to be battling for position. Get you the look from the overhead shot here as they head down the back straightaway. The NRN drone, there's your battle for the 3rd position on the racetrack right now. That's the key thing, is they have not made their final stops yet. However, if a caution flag were to come out, we'd be down to 4 cars remaining on the lead lap. Oh, DeGroot's trying to get on pit lane. He's in the grass. What a save by Nick DeGroot. Holy cow. Gets it woed up to the pit lane speed limiter, but it's going to cost him a ton of time. Take a look at this one. Save of the year candidate. Way overcooks the pit entry. He is flat sideways. He wrecked. He just didn't finish it. Great save by Nick DeGroot. But it is going to bring him out behind AJ Digby, and with Connor Baldwin catching in a hurry, as we see Alec Coates making his way onto the pit lane. Yeah, get this one up here from GTP Dillon. Yes. Wow is the correct word. Pucker Factor Zulu is the big one there. And now Nick DeGroot on cold tires is going to have to try to fend off Connor Baldwin, who has about 10 lap fresher tires. So yeah, Baldwin going to be able to make the move to the inside into turn number 1. Slides up the racetrack a little bit. DeGroot has to get way up towards the safer barrier. Then chops all the way back down the inside. Nothing else that DeGroot could do there. Connor Baldwin tried to force him way up towards the outside retaining wall. this fantastic battle for position number 3 right now. And DeGroot gets some heat in the tires, and now he's going to be able to open the gap up. Right-hand side of the screen is the battle for the race lead, sitting at right about 0.4 of a second or so. Little bit surprising. AJ Digby taking a full tire and fuel stop, making 8.37 seconds. He actually lost about 17 hundredths to Matt Wagner. But it may not matter because we have a big-time battle for the race lead into turn number 1. Digby is right there, looking down to the inside cleanly before they even get to turn 3. New race leader, AJ Digby. See AJ running with a Fuel Premier Series, or excuse me, the Sim Racers Club, as part of the Will Worsler Racing team. Got to see AJ running last night in his custom paints and designs rocket ship. A fantastic paint job, by the way, on those the NASCAR Next Gen car, I believe it is. A little bit different paint scheme on this one, but man, the thing's a rocket ship here tonight too, as he will lead his 10th lap of the race here as we work lap number 102, and easily your hard charger, up 11 from where he started in qualifying. And now things have settled down. You'll notice it at the top of your screen. The only battle less than 1 second apart right now is the battle for the race lead, and that's actually sitting right about 1 second flat as we speak. Digby going to be on 6-lap fresher tires with more fuel to get to the end. And it's going to be tight, quite frankly. 28 laps to go. I wonder if Matt Wagner hasn't gone into a big fuel save mode here, because he's only gotten 41 and 42 laps out of a tank of fuel. He's working lap number 21 of this stint right now, and we still have 26 to go. If that's the case, Wagner could be in, quite frankly, serious trouble. When it comes to making it to the end of this thing, he may need some caution help. As we are now down to 25 laps to go, and AJ Digby already with a 2.5 second lead. Let's go on board here with Matt Wagner, see if we can't hear any lifting. Still shifting to keep the RPMs up. Let's just see the LED lights on the steering wheel here as we go to the visor cam. Hitting 6th gear, probably going to be down to 5th at the 3 and 4 end. This is the wider end of the racetrack. Yeah, in fact, he's going to leave it in 6th gear. That is a sure sign of a driver that's fuel saving. Trying to stay at the top end of the rev range. Well, I should say he's trying to stay in the middle of the rev range instead of topping it out. The more RPMs you run, the more fuel you're going to burn. Definitely going to be an interesting follow here, as Nick DeGroot is catching Matt Wagner in a big-time hurry. The gap now down to 2.25 seconds between Wagner in 3rd place running Nick DeGroot. Problem is, I don't know that you can save 5 or 6 laps of fuel without some help from the caution flag. Unfortunately for Richard Fletcher, Fletcher now 3 laps down after the incidents. He actually went 43 and 45 laps on his first 2 stints. Let's run you back through the field here while we have a minute with none of our battles being overly close on the racetrack right now. Race leader AJ Digby, your hard charger of the race by a wide margin. Up 11 spots from where he started this race tonight. And should, and that's big in air quotes, should be good to make it to the end. Digby only 24 laps into the stint with, we'll say, 25 in and 15 to go. That's going to put him right at 40 laps. So long as we don't get a caution flag, this could be AJ Digby's race to lose. Second place running Matt Wagner, on the other hand, definitely has some things to be worried about. Wagner is on the 31st lap of his stint, and he can only go, the maximum we've seen him go tonight is 42. With 15 laps to go, he's going to be about 5 laps short of fuel at the end here. Likely to be a little bit closer because he is in fuel save mode, but for a guy who's led 78 laps tonight, this is not the way he wanted this race to be playing out late in the going. Rapidly catching up is third place Nick DeGroot with an iRacing Top 10 Save of the Year nominee. I still can't get over that one. The absolutely incredible save Nick DeGroot made as he is catching up on Matt Wagner. We'll back out here a little bit, pause our through the field as we watch this battle develop. But DeGroot up 2 spots after qualifying in the 5th position here tonight. Doesn't run with the league week in and week out, but when he does, he is here to win. And Wagner and DeGroot have a long history. In fact, Matt Wagner's the reason that Nick DeGroot comes to run with the ESRA INDYCAR Series, one of the reasons. The Area 51 League putting a lot of effort into this one. I have to say a huge thank you to those guys. In fact, they make the full-length broadcast possible here through their partnership with ESRA. Great work by the ESRA admins as well as the Area 51 team. And quite frankly, we thank them for their support. Matt Wagner trying to stay in behind James Watson. He's going to use him for as much fuel saving as he can. Looks like DeGroot's going to be able to get clear off of turn number 2. Finally, Nick DeGroot able to clear Matt Wagner into turn 3. That's going to put Nick DeGroot up to the 2nd position. Now Connor Baldwin going to be coming to challenge Matt Wagner. We'll pick up our through the field with the driver of the number 21. The Aero Info Baldwin Agriland entry coming around Matt Wagner to put Connor Baldwin back up to the third position. Baldwin running exactly where he ran to start this race. Running in the fifth position tonight is your pole sitter, Alec Coates. Probably not the night he was hoping for on raw pace, especially after putting up a monster 24.803 in qualifying. Crazy speed around this place for Alec Coates tonight. Running in the sixth position is Ty Richter. Ty getting caught up in one of the early incidents in this race. Grabbed the backup car and yes. Sorry about that. Having to check the timing of scoring here. Ty Richter involved in that lap 1 incident as Alec Coates has come by Matt Wagner. In fact, Wagner is way off the pace now. Oh, in trouble for Connor Baldwin. Caution is out with 6 to go. 6 laps to go right as Matt Wagner entered the pit lane. Drama at Gateway. Trouble for Connor Baldwin on the racetrack. Brings out the caution flag. The question is, did Matt Wagner get onto pit lane in time to make the pit stop? It looks like he did. Oh, no, he didn't. Had to come through, take the... Oh, what a heartbreaker for Matt Wagner. Now, he's going to be able to make the stop that he needs. But there is not going to be much time left in this race, and the one thing A.J. Digby did not want to see was a caution flag. Oh, this could be high drama. Oh, I was going to say, Nick DeGroot. I was like, he was not on pit road that long ago, 31 laps or so ago. Take a look and see what happened to Connor Baldwin here. Baldwin just flat off the racetrack. Let's take a look and see. Trying to come onto pit lane. Oh, it just overcooked the entry. Not sure what happened there for Connor Baldwin's car, but Matt Wagner and Baldwin will both be on the pit lane. And this is going to set up an absolute shootout here. We're down to 4 laps to go. Oh man, this is going to be wild. It should put, yeah, going to put everybody, well, good to go-ish on fuel. A.J. Digby should be good to go. Nick DeGroot is good to go. Alec Coates is good to go. And this really caught out a handful of cars that had just gone a lap down to race leader A.J. Digby. Including, let's see, James Watson, Matt Wagner now being scored a lap down, as is Connor Baldwin. Matt Baldwin being scored 2 laps down to the race leaders now. Down to 3 laps to go, and the lights are still on the iRacing safety car. That means should be headed to overtime. As they would have to get the green flag this time by in order for it to be an organic green-white check. And an absolute heartbreaker for Matt Wagner. Led 78 laps tonight and will not get a shot at the win, being scored 1 lap down in the 7th position. Across the start-finish line this time, and you'll see the lap counter does not change. It'll still be 3 laps to go. And we are heading to overtime. First one we've seen of those this season for the ESRA IndyCar Series. And lights are out. Can AJ Digby hold off one of the best in the business in Nick DeGroot? Alec Coates will have something to say about it. Ty Richter will have something to say here as well. TJ McMurray, after making the pit stop, will have to restart behind the lap cars, so he will not be a factor in this one. It's your top 4. Get you the look from overhead as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. Pace car is in. When does AJ Digby decide to go? Oh, very, very slow down the front stretch. Finally grabs the gas almost at the green flag point. Great restart for AJ Digby. But Nick DeGroot is going to be coming in a hurry. Oh, did DeGroot get the wall off in turn 2? Very close on corner exit. DeGroot sides a little bit high through turns 3 and 4. White flag is out. 1 lap to go for AJ Digby. DeGroot closes in turns 1 and 2. Not going to make up enough time. Digby trying to break the draft down the back straightaway. DeGroot will need some heroics through 3 and 4 to even have a shot. Off of turn number 4, twin checkers go in the air. AJ Digby wins at Gateway. Nick DeGroot, Alec Coates, your podium. Matt Wagner sets the fastest lap of the race at a 24:939. Stealing a championship point, I believe. Late in this one, that final restart is what absolutely sealed the deal for AJ Digby. Played to absolute perfection. They're going to come around here and they'll get the victory lane photo. Once we get, I believe we're going to get Nick DeGroot. Yeah, he's coming back around the racetrack here to get the victory lane photo. We'll see the final member of our podium come in here tonight. There he is. Nice team photo there, and let's get you your race results. As AJ Digby going to burn him down here on the front straightaway. Only 5 cars finishing on the lead lap tonight. Digby, DeGroot, Coates, Richter, and McMurray. James Watson, the first car, 1 lap down in 6th, along with Matt Wagner in 7th. 8th place, Connor Baldwin, 2 laps down, 3 laps down to Richard Fletcher in 9th. And Joseph Morales will round out your top 10. Cullen Johnston, Brandon Ishkanyan, Jason Hand, Gary Corley, and Andrew ESRA will round out your field here this evening. Big time smoke show from AJ Digby. So we'll get the victory lane interviews queued up here, and we will start them with... Start your victory lane interviews with third place finishing Alec Coates here tonight. And man, I'll tell you what, Alec, nice run for you tonight. The car looked pretty quick. All in all, not a bad night. Started on pole, car was quick, things were good.
Yeah, can't complain. Been away from the sim for a few weeks here. It sucks that I had to miss last week as far as championship goes, but felt good to get back on the podium and talk to you guys again.
Yeah, talk us through the night here, because it seemed like strategy was going to be the end-all, be-all decider of things. Ultimately, it was in some respects with AJ being able to run the long stints that he did, but it seemed like if you weren't, you could either really push hard or you could fuel save a ton, and there really wasn't any in between.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the position to just push hard, which I was, but the thing is here, track position's so key, and even if you pushed hard, if there was cars in front of you, you weren't going to go anywhere, really. I knew it was going to be that important, so I tried to just play it. I was happy with a third or a second. I knew I wasn't going to really get to Nick. And I knew kind of once Wags jumped me on the outside on the first lap that I was just going to be kind of riding around where I was and just get the most out of the night. But it is what it is. It was a tough race. I mean, it's a tough place to hit your marks for 130 laps, but I think I got what I could out of it, and I'm happy with it.
Always what you're looking for. Get everything you can out of the race car. That's the important part. Congratulations on the nice podium finish here tonight, and get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in before we let you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, TJ McMurray for making my car look good every week. And then mainly just you guys for always putting on a killer broadcast for us to go watch back, and for anyone that wants to watch outside of this group as well. And then obviously Wagner and Area 51 over there for always supporting our league just like we support theirs. So appreciate you guys, and looking forward to finishing this season out good.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well here, bud. Congratulations again. And let's bring in our runner-up finisher here tonight. And Nick DeGroot, you were poised to be the star of the show here. Well, you were the star in one respect. Big-time pucker factor Zulu there getting into the pits for that last stop.
Yeah, so before that, I was kind of in the headspace of, if this goes green to the end, we have this race. It's ours. And then I saw AJ go as long as he did, and I'm like, oh crap, he saved enough. He did a really good job those last couple runs, and he was saving enough to get to the end without another stop, and I was a few seconds behind him, so I'm like, gotta try to make up ground on pit entry. And as you saw there, we ended up losing a little bit of ground, but thankfully we didn't lose a race car, because that was, we were sliding our way through the grass there on the way to the pits. I'm sure it looked good on the screen.
It looked great in slow-mo. In fact, I said you wrecked, you just didn't finish it. It was it was definitely a moment for sure. And then we get to the final restart. I would imagine that caution comes out with 6 to go. You are chomping at the bit. Let's go. Now we got a shot. And it was like a full-on Colton Herta restart that AJ had there, really woeing the field up. Is there anything you can do to counter that from the second-place driver's seat?
Yeah, I don't think I should have been right up tucked behind him like I was. I mean, not like I'm hold back a bunch, because that's just no good driving on restarts. That'll cause a wreck. But I needed to stay back a couple more feet so I can kind of slowly roll up on him, just so I can stay closer to him when he goes. Because when he went there, by the time I went, it took me the whole lap and a half to make up that ground, especially with their dirty air. So, yeah, it all came down to that restart, and he nailed it. I needed a better restart so I could be closer through 1 and 2, because you get a hell of a run down the backstretch and through 3 and 4. So, yeah, the race was lost right there. I knew it then. I'm like, dang, give me another chance at that restart.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were fun to watch tonight, bud, as always. Thank you so much for coming to check out with us here. And before we let you go, get your sponsor plugs and thank yous all lined up.
Yeah, thank you to everyone for allowing me to jump in this league for a few times this season. First of all, it's really fun, and glad I didn't directly affect any of the championship guys. I'm always worried about that when running part-time, but thank you, Factor Back Motorsports, Covermort.com, Motorsport.com, DeGroot on with you all detailing canvas shoes, cowboy ship, and everybody else who supports us. See you next time.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. We appreciate it. And let's bring in our race winner tonight. Man alive, we got to go back to the restart here. Cue this one up on the replay because this really, well, I can't say it's where the race was won, but it's where you clinched it. Where you won the race tonight was in the absolutely epic fuel save drive that you did tonight. How were you able to make 44, 45 laps a stint when everybody else was struggling to make 42, maybe 43?
Proprietary information? No.
The Scott Dixon
honestly,
fuel refinery that's in there.
If you haven't noticed between this and the Cup Series, fuel and fuel numbers and understanding strategy is, I feel like, one of my stronger points. So during practice, some of the things I had tested out is what number you needed on the dash in order to make it to what lap. And so I also knew that I drove a little bit of a different line than everybody else. I feel like I backed up the turn 1 and 2 a little bit more than everybody else, which meant that I was off throttle more and less braking. I really didn't brake much at all in 1 and 2. I also was a lot lower. Everybody else was a lot higher, which when I experimented up there, I could see why, because it was a little bit faster on exit, but I also felt like it abused the right front a little bit more, and then also just used up a little bit more fuel. So I felt like I kind of found a middle ground in between the two there late, and ultimately just knew what I had to do. And then I made that one stint go really long, and then in the very last stint was just able to, I was pretty confident that last stint that I was going to make it no matter what. I felt like I probably had one extra lap on fuel. So once that caution came out, threw it into map 8 so I could know I could make it to the end of the green-white checkered, but really wish there wasn't a caution for the heartbreak or heartache that caused. But that whole the last like 20 laps of that last stint, I was basically just trying to maintain the gap where it was and not overdrive the right front. So I was able to do that and keep the Star Wars TIE Fighter up front here.
You know what? It's interesting that you're talking about the number that you're looking at on the dash, because that's a very real-world application that we don't hear a lot in the sim world. It's more drivers of saying, yeah, I think I'm close. It's more approximations. You'll hear them call them in the real world going, I need you to make a 56 or whatever that number is, the fuel burn of 1 point whatever. You were doing that level of engineering in the car. Now, I'm not going to call it math. That's straight up fuel mileage engineering. That's really impressive, and quite frankly, that's what delivers wins, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a big reason that I was able to win tonight. And I was talking with, I think it was Nick down in the lobby, and he was saying he didn't even think there was anybody he was racing other than the one other guy on his strategy. And then all of a sudden he saw me make it to where I was 41, 42 to go, and he's like, oh, I really got to push it. So I know I made it a lot longer than people anticipated, but part of that is just preparation, knowing the number that's needed, and then knowing how to actually get it by the way that you drive on track. I also felt like I used that first stint very well to learn a little bit speed-wise, but also to learn a little bit on what I can and can't do to make sure that I hit that number in case I needed it later in the race. So I initially had a number that was for if there was no cautions at all. So that caution where it was really didn't influence much. Maybe it gave me an extra lap or two that I was able to use up a little bit more on that last stint. But yeah, overall, just a little bit of preparedness, knowing how to drive this car to get that number, and execution ultimately. So I'm really thrilled. I haven't won an iRacing race in forever. I've been in the podium a lot, talked to you guys a lot, but it's been a while since I've actually been able to cross the finish line first. So to finally get that even after the yellow was a very good feeling, and just so happy to be here on top and with the IndyCars too, man. I love IndyCar, so it's awesome to be in this league, be a part of this league, and be able to run these things on Thursday nights.
Well, that's awesome, buddy. Well, congratulations on the win. Absolutely huge. I'm thrilled for you, and I'm sure the rest of the team guys over at Will Worsler Racing are going to be pretty pumped about this as well. So congratulations on the win, and before we let you go, get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, No sponsor that designed the car necessarily today, but definitely, like you said, got to thank the Will Warsaw Racing guys. I know they've been supportive. Richard, one of my teammates from there, finished 9th, was +5 on the night, so he had a pretty good night as well, and was definitely getting better over the course of the night. So it's awesome to have him in here with me. Got to thank my dad and my grandma, as I know they were watching my Twitch stream of the race. And got to thank you guys for the broadcast. I cannot wait to go back and watch this one, as I do every single week and twice a week, really, with both races when I can make this race. And then got to thank everybody in the league for the great racing, and the guys who run the league for just allowing me to be a part of it and putting on these great races. So it's just a blessing. It's fantastic, and I'm so happy to be able to be here and get the 14 car up front back where it belongs.
That's right, brother. That 14 belongs in victory lane, that's for sure. And thank you very much for checking in with us here, AJ. As we go back to the live look, we're actually going to have to get out of here pretty quickly. Not much of a wrap-up, as we've got coming up in about 15 minutes the Indy Pro 2000 Championship heading off to New Hampshire. More oval racing, this time in the PM18s. It is going to be absolutely insane. We cannot wait. But for Patrick Byrd, everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these broadcasts possible, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.